If you're a real estate investor, you probably are curious about how are these big commercial deals happening? How are people able to buy 5 million, 10 million, 50 million, $100 million properties like hotels, retail, office complexes? My name is KIRAN Vedantam. I've been a real estate investor for 20 years. I own a bunch of commercial property, and here I am presenting you the secret sauce on how to get commercial loans. First and foremost, why would you care about commercial? If you're a residential investor, you probably know that you buy a property, you rent it, that's how you earn passive income. Commercial, it's the same, but the magnanimity of commercial is exponential. I'll tell you why. What happens is usually most of the commercial complexes have a triple net lease, and with triple net lease the owner is not responsible for taxes, insurance or the CAM, which is common area maintenance. So that adds up to a lot. The tenant is responsible for that. Secondly, you also typically see year on year appreciation on the rent. So because of this escalation, the landlords are able to see a perfect storm. Even when there is inflation, the rents are automatically going up. Now, how do you get these commercial loans? How can people put up such a big amount of money? I'm going to share with you my first experience with buying an office property. This is in Chandler, Arizona. It's a big property, about 14,000 square feet of office space. And there were about 48 tenants in this 14,000 square feet. And that's the building that we still have our office in. And it's right by I-10 and Ray Road. What's significant about this building is it's very close to all the freeways. It's in a very desirable location. Obviously, I got very attracted to the location and we made an offer on it. The owner accepted it. They gave us 90 days to close on the loan. That is very typical of any commercial property. You get longer closing versus residential, you get about 30 days. In those 90 days, I had to do my due diligence, which is the inspections, and then I had to find a lender. You think finding a lender for commercial property is easy? It's not. It's actually very painful. Lot of banks have their own guidelines and there is no usual general guidelines that are applicable to all the banks. So I had to go to multiple banks to figure out who is offering the best rate. It's just not the best rate. I need to figure out who is offering a recourse loan versus non-recourse loan. That means if I am being made personally responsible for the loan, or are they able to lend me on my limited liability company? Then is there a prepayment penalty? Most of the commercial loans have prepayment penalty, but it is negotiable. Sometimes we can get away without a prepayment penalty. So all these other factors are something that we have to analyze from bank to bank to bank. So here is what I found out. Even if the bank issues you a pre-approval letter, the property and the loan before it gets funded goes through a committee of the bank. And if the committee thinks it's a bad asset, if they are going to vote against it, then they are going to cut it. Regardless of how much relationship that you have with the bank, if you have your checking account for years, you have your savings account, you have your credit card processing through them, doesn't matter. They are going to cut it and they are going to say, nope, you're not going to lend it. This is what happens. A lot of times, the loan originators at the local banks, they package the loan fully thinking that the committee is going to approve it because they are in anticipation of the approval. They have some experience. If somebody is newer, they might not have good experience, then it might backfire. In our case, that is exactly what happened, wherein we were promised that we are going to get away with 10% down payment with an SBA backed loan to get this property. About the 70th day, we were given the news that since some of the tenants are short-term tenants, they are not going to be able to do 10% down. So we have to come up with 20 more percent, which is almost, for a $2 million property, that's almost $600,000 that we had to come up within 20 days. It's a nightmare, isn't it? But it's very typical of commercial loans, unfortunately, if the package is not done right properly. So we came up with that money because we had to sell some other asset, which we were not intending to do it at that time. And then because of the fire sale, we sold it for less than what it is really worth. And finally, we made the cut. We closed the deal. Fast forward, we now have joined Comm Loans. Comm Loan is a commercial loan marketplace that works throughout the country. The biggest differentiator between Comm Loans and any other competitive bid is, since it's a marketplace, once we enter the criteria of what you are trying to buy, we are able to give you an answer the same day. We are able to pre-qualify you not with one bank or two banks, but we have 750 banks whose guidelines are all programmed into this Comm Loan portal. In conclusion, this is what I want to remind you. If you are making an offer on a hotel, on an office building, or a hospital, a retail space, a multifamily building, be sure to contact somebody like us who's experienced in this and also who has access to about 700 lenders, so that you get not only the best pricing but the assurance that the loan has a plan B. In case the primary lender says, oh no, our committee said this, then at least we have 5 more lenders that we send packages to all the time. So give me a call if you have any questions on the commercial. We would love to earn your business, and I'm here to share my experience with you. Reach out, and then we'll see you in the next episode.